If you're using sauna and cold plunges for fat loss, sleep or recovery, you might be doing them at the worst possible time of day, because your body runs on something called a cortisol rhythm. And if you fight that rhythm, you can actually make sleep worse, increase your stress and slow recovery. But if you work with it, sauna and cold can become powerful tools. So in this video, we're going to break down what the cortisol rhythm actually is, why it controls your energy and sleep, what cold plunges do to cortisol, and when to use hot and cold. Firstly, cortisol gets a bad rep. People hear cortisol and they immediately think stress hormone, which is bad. But cortisol is actually essential for survival. Wakes you up in the morning, it mobilizes energy, increases alertness, regulates blood sugar, and prepares the body for action. Without cortisol, you'd struggle to get out of bed in the morning. The problem isn't cortisol itself, it's when it appears, because cortisol follows a daily rhythm called the cortisol circadian rhythm. Your body naturally produces cortisol in a predictable pattern. High in the morning, low at night. This is known as the cortisol awakening response. Within about 30 to 45 minutes, cortisol spikes sharply, which increases your alertness, raises your blood pressure, boosts focus, prepares your brain and your body to start the day. Then, throughout the day, it gradually declines. By nighttime, it should be very low, so your body can produce melatonin and sleep properly. If your cortisol stays high, you'll notice things like waking up at 2 or 3 a.m, having difficulty falling back to sleep, which a lot of people experience when they're training hard, constantly stressed or overtraining. Cold exposure is basically a controlled stressor. When you jump into cold water, your body activates the sympathetic nervous system. Your brain interprets that as a threat, so it releases adrenaline and cortisol. Research shows cold exposure can increase cortisol level temporarily, but that's not necessarily bad. In fact, it can be useful. Because cold plunges can increase alertness, boost energy, enhance resilience to stress. But here's the key point. Timing matters. Cold exposure is best used earlier in the day, when cortisol is supposed to be high anyway. Morning works best. Doing cold plunges late at night can push cortisol up when it should be dropping. Sauna's a different type of stress. Instead of activating the fight or flight response like cold exposure, heat stress tends to activate more of a parasympathetic recovery systems afterwards. During sauna, cortisol might slightly increase due to heat stress, but after the session, most people experience relaxation, improved sleep, reduced muscle tension. Sauna also increases growth hormone, blood flow, cardiovascular conditioning. And unlike cold plunges, sauna often works well later in the day, because after the heat exposure, your body cools down, and that drop in body temperature can actually promote sleepiness, which is similar to what naturally happens at night when your body prepares for sleep. If you want to work with your cortisol rhythm, the strategy is simple. Morning or early day, you want cold exposure. Even 1 to 3 minutes of cold water can have a good effect. Later afternoon or early evening, you want the sauna. Heat exposure followed by cooling helps your nervous system shift into recovery mode. This can improve relaxation and sleep quality. If you combine them, a lot of people like doing sauna first, then cold plunge, repeating and cycling. But again, try not to do intense cold plunges right before bed. The big takeaway is that many tools are neutral. They become helpful or harmful depending on timing and context. Cold exposure is powerful, just like hot exposure is. But if you ignore your body's natural rhythm, you can accidentally work against your biology instead of with it. And the people who get the best results with recovery, fat loss and energy are usually the ones who align their habits with these natural rhythms. If you're experimenting with sauna or cold plunges, try adjusting the timing and seeing how your body responds. Morning cold, evening hot. If you want more content on things like metabolism, recovery and fat loss strategies, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for more videos.